This is disgusting, and this is my review of Another Life on Netflix. This is my review on Another Life on Netflix. And the basic concept of this is
Millennials.
in space, and it's really hard being in space. The first point I want to make is all of the actors are terrible, with the exception of the guy who plays the AI character, who's like a hologram, and his name is William. He's quite good at playing as a warm sort of host type character, because that is what he is. He's effectively the hologram that looks after the ship and all of the crew that's on it. He's probably the best thing about the whole program. Other characters, they all seem to fit into an exact profile. Like there's one character whose name I forget because I cannot connect with her. I call her Mega Bitch because that's all she does is bitch and moan about everything. The captain character, who is Starbuck from the remake of Battlestar Galactica. She's pretty much playing that same character again, but as someone in charge. And then everything else that sort of happens is just... It's just one problem after another, but how they play out and how they end, or they're resolved in whatever way, it's very predictable. The other thing that annoyed me about the program is there's an Earth side to it and a ship side to it. And the captain of the ship happens to go out with the main guy who's in charge of the Earth side of it. So it's kind of like they are mutually linked. I think they did it to be clever. It just seems like poor writing, in my personal belief. The main plot seems to be an unknown alien object comes to Earth, lands on it, and then forms this massive structure. They can't work out what it is, so they do research on it. Then, because it's been so long and they haven't figured it out, they send a team out into space to go and find where it is they come from. Go there, find out what the aliens are like, whether they're hostile, whether they're not, and either deal with them or make first contact. The pacing for this show is actually quite tedious in my opinion because I can't really connect with any of the characters whatsoever. It does make it really hard for me to give it when one of them dies. I'm not going to say who dies, but people die. Every time they do, I felt absolutely nothing. Like they literally are that meaningless. They could have killed the whole cast off and it really wouldn't have bothered me. The other thing that's a bit sort of annoying is they seem to be able to just get rid of characters, so they kill them off for the sake of killing them off, but they can replace them at any time because they've got other crew members asleep in stasis. It doesn't really mean anything. It'd be much better if their characters died off and they couldn't replace them and then they'd have to figure out another way to kind of complete the mission without them, and then decide each time something bad happens whether or not that they should turn back and go back to Earth or whether they should press on with the mission. And I think that would have given it a much better drive to make me watch, that's for sure. Definitely give me a much better reason to watch because it would be interesting to see how bad it would get and how creative they'd have to be to overcome that problem. However, I think they wanted to be too much like Game of Thrones and try and kill off characters to get an emotional response that, again, for me, wasn't there because I didn't care. There's not a lot that the programme did well. They did the character of William well. I don't know, maybe it was the choice in actor, maybe it was just the way it was written for him. It worked. He is pretty good in it, but he is the best thing about it, if I'm honest. The only other thing that they did well was the actual sets. I think the sets were well made, well structured. They look believable in what they are. The other thing that I didn't really like, but again, it was probably a budgetary issue, was the CG weren't brilliant. It wasn't that great. The acting was quite poor. And again, I wasn't really connecting with any of the characters. If they would have spent more time on character development, I don't think the CG would have mattered. I actually think they could have spent a little less on the sets themselves and invested in better actors or better writers, possibly, just to make those scripts a little bit better. Because not all of the actors on there are terrible actors, it's just that they didn't do a very good job of making me connect with them. Maybe it's me, I don't know. It just seemed like they were offing people just to be edgy. Problem is, a lot of TV shows do that these days. Most of them I connect with better. Most of them, it genuinely evokes an emotional response from me. But with this programme, really couldn't care less. They also chucked a few sex scenes in there, but they weren't that great either. They didn't really. Again, it just seemed like they were trying to be edgy, and it's already been done better by a lot of TV shows. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. That's not a strong 4 out of 10 either. I only gave it the extra point because I like William as a character. Literally a pity point. I do think it's actually quite bad. Maybe I'm just being horrible to it for the sake of being horrible. I don't know. I did my scoring system. It didn't even score highly on that. It's a 4 out of 10. And that's me being nice. As always, like and subscribe. If you do dislike, please leave comments explaining why. And again, that'll help me improve my videos and move forward with them. Also, if you disagree with my opinion, comment. Please explain why. Feel free to talk in the comments about what you did like, what you didn't like about the actual show itself. Get a discussion going. Again, that's what I'm mainly doing this for, is to get conversations going about the TV shows that I watch. It's Disgusting, and this was my review.